organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
On this edition of Daily Iowan TV,
the University of Iowa takes the overnight shift to find out just how hard people are working to rebuild Hanson Auditorium.
And Herkies on Parade find out why the university's lovable mascot is all over campus.
And in sports, a new conference matchup in Big Ten basketball.
All that and more next.
Daily Iowan TV is ready to go.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Mary LaPlaca.
And I'm Hannah Thompson.
After the 2008 flood destroyed some campus buildings at the UI, the school has been working hard to rebuild Hanson Auditorium before their projected deadline.
Now we have our own Jordan Mickle outside the auditorium right now. So Jordan, what's the update?
Thanks, Hannah. I'm live right outside of Hanson Auditorium, and as you can see behind me, it's completely gated off. That's because it's currently undergoing construction after the flood back in 2008. Right now, you're looking at some shots taken earlier this afternoon of construction members hard at work in order to get this project completed by the deadline. And with the harsh winter we had this year, it really hindered construction on an average of 6 days every month. In total, the construction company Mortensen Construction lost productivity in 32 days when temperatures were below 0 degrees.
And that's generally when contractors experience either a slowdown or a stoppage in their on-site work production.
And with the completion date expected to be May 2016, some members have been working extra shifts, including 24-hour shifts, just to stay on track.
We've been working through them with the various contractors on the site to make sure that the overall schedule is not negatively impacted. We were running for some time a 24-hour shift to maximize the use of the overhead crane so that we could move things around the site at the highest level of efficiency and keep that concrete work going.
The 24-hour shifts will come to an end once the weather begins to improve and they'll be able to utilize the daylight hours the most. If you're interested in keeping tabs on the progress, there will be online updates as well as a webcam set up by the Hanson site that updates every 15 minutes. The link is down below at the bottom of your screen. Hannah and Mary, back to you guys at the desk.
Herky here, Herky there. Herky is just about everywhere in Iowa City and neighboring towns after the launch of Herkies on Parade Monday. 83 uniquely painted Herky statues were unveiled in Iowa City, Coralville, and North Liberty as part of the UI celebration of Iowa's 125th season of football, the 75th anniversary of the 1939 Ironman, and the 25th anniversary of the National Varsity Club Hall of Fame. But for one Hawkeye athlete, the parade of Herkies is much more meaningful.
Herky the Hawk has many different forms and dresses in many different ways, so it kind of captures the many different essences that the students and the community together come to as one.
Another weekend, another late taxi cab robbery attempt. Iowa City Police are investigating an alleged robbery attempt of a taxi driver. Police say the driver arrived at the requested address where he was approached by two black men. The police report says one of the men entered the vehicle and pulled a gun on the driver, while the other man outside pulled a second gun on the driver of the car. The victim then handed over money as the two assailants fled the scene and no arrests were been made.
A man faces multiple charges after allegedly trying to take a police officer's gun. According to police, Stephen Willard pushed an officer to the ground and reached for his handgun after being confronted on Highway 6 after appearing to hitchhike. Willard had previously left UI hospitals and clinics after being court committed because he was dangerous to himself and to others. Interference with official acts using a dangerous weapon is a Class C felony. And much more still coming your way on Daily Iowan TV.
Recapping last Friday's Republican senatorial candidate debate in Political Alert.
And in sports, the men's golf team earns their 6th straight NCAA regional bid.
But first, this weather is making it quite hard to prepare for finals week. Is it going to stay around? Megan, can you tell us?
Thanks, guys. Temperatures are looking up this week with just a few clouds and one stormy day. Tomorrow morning will start out at 52 degrees and clear skies. By the afternoon, the temperature will rise to 68 degrees, but some clouds will cover the sunny skies. The evening temp will lower slightly to 65 and clouds will remain. Taking a look at the rest of the week, temperatures won't dip below 70 until Friday. Tuesday could rise to 72, and by Wednesday it will be a blissful 85 degrees. There's a 30% chance for thunderstorms on Thursday, and partly cloudy skies will follow on Friday. Weekend temperatures will be in the 70s, and be sure to enjoy the sunny skies on Saturday. That's all I have for this week's weather. If you can ignore those clouds, it's looking to be a pretty nice week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Iowa SJMC.
Want a major that'll take you somewhere?
I joined and now I'm in Los Angeles, California, interning for Conan O'Brien at Warner Brothers Studios.
I joined and now I'm working in public relations for diabetes research.
SJMC.
Thanks, Megan. And now we'll turn it over to our own Reed Chandler for this week's edition of Political Alert. And Reed, the June 3rd primaries are near, and we saw the 5 Republican senatorial candidates debate over the weekend in Cedar Rapids. Tell us what to expect as the campaigns heat up.
That's right, guys. Now, the big elections aren't until November, but for those who hope to see their name on the ballot, they've got to beat out their competition in the June primaries. The big race in Iowa comes down to Democrat Bruce Braley's seat in Congress. He's up for re-election in the Senate, and Republicans are determined to put one of their own in his spot. 5 Republicans are seeking the nomination from their party. They face off on June 3rd, and as that date nears, they're interacting more. On Saturday at the annual Iowa Broadcast News Association convention, Judy Woodruff of the PBS NewsHour moderated a debate between the candidates. Joni Ernst, a current state senator, Sam Clovis, an economist, and Matt Whitaker, Scott Shaban, and Mark Jacobs, all businessmen, are seeking the nomination. Topics discussed in the debate included repealing Obamacare, agricultural farm subsidies, and how to solve the problem of a diminishing Social Security program. The candidates certainly had different viewpoints on how to handle certain issues, but one thing remained clear: repealing Obamacare is a must for all of them. When asked if they had an alternate program on the table, none had a response, but they reiterated free market principles as the way to create one. Sam Clovis even went as far as to say that he would not be willing to work with Democrats across the aisle on issues like Obamacare because he's not seeking a compromise. He said he's seeking to get the ideal Republican outcome on this issue. Sounds like more gridlock in Washington could be on the way. Now, early voting has been going on in Iowa City since April 24th. Iowa is one of 34 states that allows early elections, and that's a big factor for campaigns here because students in Johnson County make up a large demographic. But most of them will be packing up and heading home for the summer a couple weeks before the June 3rd election date. Our own Megan Horahan reports how this could affect the election.
Nationally, midterm elections see older voters turn out to vote more than younger ones, usually meaning a lower turnout for Democrats. However, in the Johnson County primary election, this has not been the case. As of Friday, May 2nd, about 561 people have voted. Of those voters, 498 were Democrats and only 63 were Republicans. This doesn't mean young voters are coming out to vote early, but candidates are still looking to reel in that demographic.
The extent that younger people vote and students vote, I mean, that would turn the election. I mean, how many students are at Iowa? 20, 25,000, something like that, you know? And so it would be easy for students to be decisive in this election.
Students focusing on finals at this time of the year don't usually think of long-term effects, but now is the time to speak their opinion at the ballot box.
I hate to say it, but it does directly affect them, but we have yet to see the students realize just how much say the county has over what happens here.
So there are only a couple, week and a half left before students are gone. And so, wanting someone to win or wanting change doesn't bring change at all, but voting does, because in local elections like this, so few people vote.
Satellite voting is held at convenient locations on certain days, but you can vote anytime here at the Johnson County Auditor's Office Monday through Friday during business hours. The next satellite voting site will be at Kirkwood Community College tomorrow, May 6th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Megan Horahan, Daily Iowan TV.
Early voting for the primary election will be available every weekday except Memorial Day until that June 3rd primary. And if you'd like to brush up on what the candidates said in the debate this past weekend, head over to dailyiowanepi.com for the full story.
On Thursday, the Big Ten announced this year's ACC Big Ten Challenge matchups.
And now more news coming on another conference competition coming up in 2015. Let's toss it over to our own Alyssa Bergamini in the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio to hear more about this announcement. Alyssa?
Thanks, Hannah. We'll get to that announcement in just a bit. Welcoming you into the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio, I'm Alyssa Bergamini. Later on in this Monday evening of the program, we have one trackster making strides in his freshman campaign. But first, as Hannah mentioned, we'll start with a new matchup in men's Big Ten basketball. Today, the Big Ten and Big East announced the creation of the Gavitt Tip-Off Games, which will feature an annual early season of 8 games played between the two conferences. The games will be played on 4 consecutive days in the first week of the basketball season and will kick off in the 2015-2016 season. Off the court and onto the track, O'Shea Wilson may be a name you've heard, not be a name you've heard yet, but only his freshman season, he's already taken home several titles. His personal best in long jump ranks 7th all-time in Iowa, just 2 spots below the former Hawkeye who serves as his mentor. Our own Rachel Bedell has the story.
Freshman O'Shea Wilson's days are full of work, with his talents being shown on the track and in the field.
Well, my practices are longer than usual. I have to do block work, handoffs, speed endurance, and then on top of that I have to do long jump work, so it takes a lot out of me.
Lucky for Wilson, graduated Josh Larney knows what it's like to compete on the track and in the sand.
Difficult sometimes because you get your runs messed up. The way you sprint coming down the track for 100 meters is completely different than the way you sprint for the long jump coming down the runway. So it's really easy to get confused and to kind of mess things up. You have to be really locked in. But at the same time, it's kind of like you can use one for redemption if you do bad in the other.
And All-American Larney doesn't hesitate to share his knowledge with Wilson.
He's a great dude. O'Shea's a really funny guy. We kind of joke around all the time that I'm going to pass the cool torch to him, but he's really receptive to knowledge, and I think that's the biggest thing about him, why he'll be really successful here. A lot of young guys, they kind of think they know it all. That's how I was when I was younger, but I talk to him and I try to give him hints and pointers and things like that.
He's guided me through it because when he was here, he did the same events, long jump, 4x1, 200, all that. He just guided me, helped me with my long jump, with my block work, and it's nice to have a guy to help you through the process.
Rachel Bedell, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
And in golfing news, the men's golf team earning their 6th straight NCAA regional bid. Up to 14 teams were selected for each of the 6 regional sites, and the Hawkeyes will be at the number 6 seed in the Columbia Regional. The regional will be hosted by Missouri and will begin on May 15th and conclude on the 16th. Iowa looks for its 4th NCAA championship finals berth in the past 6 seasons after finishing 11th at the Tallahassee Regional last year. Now joining us on set, always a pleasure, our own Ben Ross. In tomorrow's edition of the Daily Iowan, you can check out his project that he's been spending quite a bit of time on. And what can you tell us about this project?
Well, in January of 1996, a very prominent wrestler, Dave Schultz, was murdered by the hand of a millionaire named John DuPont. DuPont was running a wrestling compound on his Foxcatcher farm in Philadelphia, where some of the best wrestlers in the entire world were competing for a spot in the Olympics.
And there's an Iowa connection here too.
Yeah, many Iowa wrestlers spent some time on the farm. We talked to the Tom and Terry Brands, current Iowa coaches here of wrestling. Also former Iowa wrestlers such as Royce Alger and Randy Lewis. They won some gold medals for Iowa way back in the day.
Okay, well, thank you, Ben. As always, once again, you can catch that story in tomorrow's print edition of the Daily Iowan. And that'll do it for us here in the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studios. Tune in tomorrow where we'll have a story on one Hawkeye who was selected to play on the Canada Women's National Field Hockey Team. Hannah and Mary, back to the desk.
Thanks, Alyssa. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek into tomorrow's pages of the Daily Iowan.
Union's fate. The results of the Union Bar's appeal to hold onto their 21 ordinance exception.
And eroding profits, how one natural phenomenon could cost Iowa farmers $1 billion in the upcoming season.
Well, that's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out at the same time tomorrow or anytime online at dailyiowan.com. Thanks for watching and have a great night.